王に背く不届き、塵となって英語を食いよ。針など触れるまでもない。ディスティーノ・アロガンテ。
死にたいと言っても無理やりでも生かし続けるのが僕の信念だ。簡単には死なせないよ。さて、覚悟をしておくといい。生きて恥をさらす覚悟をね。トルメンタでディエンテスでミシエラコ。
What is going on, guys? This is your boy the Death Smasher, and welcome back to another Bleach Brave Souls video. And today we are back again with another Who Is Better video. And today we are going to be comparing the newly released Seinosuke Yamada and compare him to the likes of the Campfire World Beyond the Resurrection Barragan. Now, why compare these two characters? Well, for starters, they're both Campfire World characters, so they're basically going to be in their own respective Campfire World banners. Secondly, they're both ranged. And thirdly, they both have Arrancar Killers. That alone completely justifies making a comparison video for these two characters. So let's just go ahead and start off with taking a look at their stats and skills first, and then we will do the individual runs and then basically go over the pros and cons for both of these characters. Starting off with Barragan, this unit is an Arrancar / Espada unit, so for when it comes to doing content where enemies have Arrancar or Espada killer, there isn't that many, to be honest, which is not that bad. And even if you were to do an IZ raid where enemies have Arrancar or Espada killer, you can just basically stay back with Barragan. I mean, like, he is a ranged unit after all, like, there's nothing to worry about in the slightest. But taking a look at everything else in terms of stats and skills, he's got 1094 stamina, attack at 642, defense at 352, focus at 351, and a base SP of 719. Overall, really good stats. Arrancar Killer with strong attack recharge time minus 12%, and as we go ahead and take a look at his attacks and his skills, he's got weakening on all of his attacks. Really damn good for when it comes to guild quests, and also PvE in general, because if you inflict weakening on the enemies, you'll be able to do even more damage once they're weakened, and the enemies will not be able to do any sort of damage to you at all. Like, they only do 1 damage. That's all they do. So yeah, taking a look at his skills, he's got a 20% Bruiser, 20% Berserker, Devastation at 40%, he's got Last Ditch Survival, he's got Weaken Immunity, Frenzy, Debilitator plus 5 seconds, and Sprinter. So, pretty nice skills, but that being said, I do feel like Last Ditch Survival could have been replaced by Havoc easily, because, let's be honest here, unless you don't die a lot and know how to play this game just fine, you don't really need Last Ditch, if I'm being honest here. But yeah, that's basically Barragan's stats and skills. Now, taking a look at Seinosuke, he does have a bit higher stats, minus the attack, which is slightly lower, but everything else is pretty good. He is a no affiliation unit, so that alone is really good because there is no type of inheritance zone or droplet zone where enemies have no affiliation killers. So he is a 100% safe character to bring for every single hard content that we have in the game. So yeah, he's got the same stuff going for him as Barragan, strong attack recharge time minus 12% with Arrancar Killer. But in terms of stats, he has 1100 stamina, 638 attack, defense at 361, focus at 351, and a base SP of 802. So he basically is the 4th unit to get the highest SP in the game, alongside Mugetsu, Muken Aizen, and of course Bambietta. And taking a look at his attacks and his skills, now unlike Barragan, he has no debilitating status elements, but his second strong attack is a heal plus shield move, which it's not really good for guild quests. The reason why is because normally heal moves are always melee attacks. So for when it comes to bringing this unit into guild quests as an actual main standalone unit, you're going to be missing out on a lot of potential damage for when it comes to using just the second strong attack, which is already pretty bad. But for everything else, when it comes to PvE, he's still good. Like, you'll be able to get around stuff just fine. So taking a look at the rest of his skills, he does have a 40% bruiser and a 40% berserker, so he will be doing slightly more damage compared to Barragan. Well, not really, because he does have range collision and strong attacks, which we will take a look into that pretty soon. He does have a devastation at 60%, so he will be able to nuke slightly harder than Barragan. Unlike Barragan, he actually has havoc at 20%, so he does have crazy range on all of his strong attacks. He's got Frenzy, he's got Sprinter +1, he's got Guard Break, really amazing, because for when it comes to doing a NAD build, it's pretty godly in my opinion, because it just means that you'll be able to hit hard with your normal attacks and not have to worry about using your strong attacks just to be able to Guard Break. Plus, considering this unit is a range character alone, there are way more Arrancars that have range guard than melee guard, so this is a big plus for Seinosuke, in my personal opinion. And of course, he also has Medic as a skill to increase the amount of health he restores to himself and his party members. So yeah, that's basically the stats and skills completely analyzed all together. And now, the builds that we are going to be doing for both of the characters are basically going to be full 14% recharge links with a pill and tension tie with a 30% SP. In Seinosuke's case, we will basically give him the Katakoran Alpha with 30% SP, and in Barragan's case, the Espada Chair with 30% SP, so that way we will be able to compare both of the characters equally. So let's just go ahead and jump onto the runs, lads.
愚か者ども。
始めようか。天覧いや地上天覧天覧いや天覧天覧地上いや天覧天覧いや天覧地上天覧天覧天覧 簡単。お礼はいいよ。
Alright guys, now that we have seen their gameplays in person, let's just go ahead and analyze their kits and go over the pros and cons for both of the characters. In terms of kits, both Seinosuke and Barragan have their own ups and downs. Seinosuke's first strong attack works the same as Quincy Ichigo and Manga Aizen, where it's a ranged collision pushback move that has 40% magnification. The only difference is that he has Havoc, allowing you to cover a lot more range for when pushing back enemies with his attack. His second strong attack is the same as Spirit Society Rengiku, where it's a vortex that starts off being melee collision and starts pushing back enemies and becomes range collision. It has the same magnification as her and Barragan, only difference is that it hits harder thanks to him having a 40% berserker, but also takes 20 seconds for it to recharge with a full 14% strong attack recharge build because of the fact that his second strong attack has barriers plus heals. And his third strong attack is 1200 radius full screen. No debilitating status ailment, which is a letdown. Now onto Barragan's kit. His first strong attack is a melee collision beam move, similar to what Power Aizen has, but has a lot more width and has just about the same range as him. His second strong attack is the same as Seinosuke's, with the only difference being that the range is a lot less due to him not having Havoc, but takes a lot less time for Barragan to reuse the second strong attack, as it only does damage and actually has weakening. And lastly, his third strong attack is 900 radius, which is a letdown as it isn't a charged strong attack either. But on the other hand, Barragan does have weakening over Seinosuke, which that alone makes it even more useful. Now let's just go ahead and start with the pros and cons for Campion World Barragan, since he did come out a while back compared to Seinosuke. Starting off with his pros. Better first strong attack. Melee collision beats range collision and does a lot more consistent damage compared to Seinosuke, which brings me to another pro for him. Viable in guild quests. In terms of being a ranged Arrancar Killer, he's one of the few best SP units to have Frenzy that you can use as a main to be able to clear the run as fast as possible. If you have him 5 out of 5, he's your go-to for this week's guild quests, which brings out another factor for him. Weakening on all of his attacks. This is especially useful for guild quests and everything else for when proccing a status ailment that slows down the enemies. Useful in floor 9 of Path of Valor. This pro speaks for itself. Don't have Halloween Lilinet? This guy gets the job done very easily. Immune to being weakened. This also speaks for itself. If there are annoying enemies that try to weaken you, you're immune to that. And now for the cons. Lack of Havoc. This is a con that is very detrimental to the character because he lacks a lot of range on his third strong attack. I'm sorry, but 900 radius is outdated as fuck, and I'd rather take a strong attack that has 975 radius in front of me, like Zombie Toshiro or Fierce Battle Ichigo. The range on his first is fine enough even without Havoc, but honestly, this was a unit that needed it. Even just having 1080 radius is good enough, still beyond full screen. Second strong attack is Ranged Collision Vortex. This strong attack is another reason why when he came out, they shafted him kit-wise. I'm sorry, but why was the King of Hueco Mundo done so dirty? That Vortex has a lot of damage diminished, which isn't justified in any way, shape, or form for him to even have a Vortex. Like, come on, K-Lab. Doesn't have the best Nat String plus Bruiser. Hit or miss con, I'm only including this because we are comparing him with Seinosuke, who can be used as a NAD unit thanks to him having Guard Break and a 40% Bruiser. Barragan doesn't have that. Only a 20% Bruiser, and his NAD string isn't really the best for when it comes to having creativity and doing a NAD build on an SP unit. So yeah, not a lot of cons for Barragan in general. If he had those 2 cons completely fixed up, he'd be the overall best ranged Arrancar Killer for speed, just like Canfair and World Stark is for tech. Moving on to Seinosuke Yamada. Starting off with his pros, no affiliation unit. Useful in everything as there are no enemies that have no affiliation killers and can be used to substitute Kokuto in floor 23 of Tower of Ordeals, if you guys are still doing that. Better 3rd strong attack. I'm glad that Caleb at least has done that right and has 1200 radius, covering more than enough range to kill mobs. Works as a NAD unit. The fact that he has guard break and a 40% bruiser makes him a really fun unit to play as, and can work for autoing the harder content in the game thanks to being able to produce heals plus shields on his 2nd strong attack. Has Havoc. Even though he has ranged collision strong attacks, he will still benefit a lot more with the insane range he has thanks to that skill alone. Great support character, all thanks to him having a 2nd strong attack that can give barriers and heal you. Now it's time to look at his cons. Ranged collision strong attacks. Even though I was able to have a faster clear time with him than Barragan, I'm afraid that for harder content in the game, this isn't entirely justified, since for the most part, the damage Seinosuke does will stay inconsistent. Now thankfully, he does have guard break and a higher berserker backing him up, and does well against Arrancars, but everything else will basically have a bit of a tough time killing. And to top it all off, Seinosuke has not 1, but 2 strong attacks where they are ranged collision, bringing him almost to the same shaft level that is Manga Aizen. Lack of status ailments. The con alone speaks for itself. Yes, he still does have a higher bruiser and berserker, but since he has ranged collision strong attacks, he should have benefited at least a status ailment. Not viable in guild quests. His 2nd strong attack, on top of it being ranged collision, it acts as if it's a melee attack, because it's a heal move. So for ranged Arrancar Killer week, he's going to be missing out on damage because of his 2nd strong attack. Now you can give him the headband to nullify the melee resistance, but it's only 30% per hit, and you could be losing out on potential stat increases to the point that you're just better off using another character like Black Cloak Kisuke over Seinosuke. And using Seinosuke as a NAD unit for this GQ in terms of support is not a good idea. Overall, Barragan wins in terms of dealing overall DPS. In terms of overall support, Seinosuke takes the win. Both characters are good overall, it's just that none of them are even close to being the perfect ranged Arrancar Killer for speed. And even then, we need to still get a definitive Arrancar Killer for speed that can stand the test of time. Alright, that ends the comparison between these 2 characters, and with all the facts given out, let me give you guys my honest opinion. I think even just having one of the characters is fine enough, but if you're looking for a character that is more guild quest focused, then Barragan is actually the way to go. And if you don't have him, a 5 out of 5 Black Cloak Kisuke will actually do the job just fine without having any sort of debilitating status ailments. And giving my own personal opinion, I actually like Seinosuke more as a character, which is why I'm actually leaning towards transcending his SP over Barragan's. This is just my own personal preference and what I think, because I actually like Seinosuke a lot as a character, and yeah, that's basically what I think, so yeah. If you guys enjoyed this comparison video, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so that way you guys are up to date with what I upload on my channel, and most of all, share this video with your friends and family. This has been your boy the Death Smasher, and I am signing out. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video, whenever that happens. Right now, there are no other Who Is Better video plans, so I'll come up with something to upload on my channel through a daily basis. So yeah, peace out, lads.